Today, we're making vase toppers, and you're probably wondering, what in the world is a vase topper? Well, y'all, stick with me and you'll find out. Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome back. It is so good to see all of you, and I hope you've had a wonderful week. Today is a little bit of a bittersweet day for me. Today is going to be our very last DIY home decor project for our 2024 Christmas series, and I'm feeling a little sad that it's coming to an end, but at the same time, I'm feeling okay with it too, because I won't lie, I'm starting to feel just a little bit of that creative burnout. So it's okay. It's all okay. Anyway, like I said, today is going to be our last project and of this season, not forever, just of this season, of the Christmas season. And it's going to be a fun one. I think this is something cool. We're going to be making vase toppers. And if y'all are not sure what a vase topper is, I say stick with me. Let's go find out and see what this is all about.
Alrighty, friends, is your curiosity piqued here? I kind of hope so. I think you're going to have fun with this one. I think y'all will enjoy this. So before I tell you what we're going to do, let's just talk supplies for a minute. So you're going to need some sort of a small round wooden piece that fits perfectly on top of whatever vessel you choose. And then you're going to need a variety of greenery. I'm using a few different things here, some pine cones. You are going to need some clear fishing line, or you can use bead, like necklace, jewelry line, whatever that's called. I can't think what it's called right now. Oh my goodness. But anyway, and then some fun, just accent pieces, whatever you choose to use to create a bouquet. So here's where I'm going with all of this. We are going to create a really pretty Christmas bouquet on top of this wooden piece, and then we're going to dangle some ornaments, some beautiful ornaments from this to sit down inside the vase. Stay with me, y'all, because you'll see where I'm going with this in just a bit. So the first thing that I needed to do here was string my fishing line through the holes. Well, y'all, I drilled these holes really tiny, thinking I would just be able to tie a really big knot in the fishing line. Well, it didn't work. The knots, no matter how big I tied it, just kept going through the hole. So moving on to plan B, I decided to go ahead and tie my fishing line around a super small bead. And this does work. I tied it kind of around the bead so that the knot was on the outside of the bead, like I looped it through and then tied the knot on the outside. I hope that makes sense. And I know it's really hard to see what I'm doing here. In fact, it actually looks like I'm just miming something to y'all. However, I really am tying a knot with the fishing line, but it's practically invisible here. Trust me, though, there is some fishing line there. You can see my bead now, and this is how I tied it around the bead. And then I just took the opposite end from the bead, strung it back through that hole, and then used my bead as a topper to prevent my line from falling all the way through, because later we're going to dangle some ornaments from this fishing line. But you need to do this part first, because we're going to build a centerpiece on top of this, a big floral arrangement on top of this wooden disc. So to make sure that that wooden bead didn't go anywhere, I did decide to go ahead and hot glue it into place, and then I will just repeat this for 3 more of these, because I'm going to hang 3 ornaments. So here they are, all done. I've got my beads on, my fishing line is dangling through, and now we can go ahead and create our beautiful greenery, Christmas greenery arrangement on top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some, this is like a, what kind of pine boughs are these? Oh, gracious. I forget my memories sometimes, y'all. I'm getting old. Anyway, I'm starting with this really fun fir pine bough, whatever this is supposed to replicate. These are all faux pine picks, and I will have everything that I used listed in the description box for y'all under our supply list. And then I'm just dipping everything into my melting pot here using the hot glue, and I'm going to start arranging everything in a clock pattern. So I start going, I started with 9 and then went to 12, and then I'll go to 3, and then I'll go to 6, because I really feel like this gives you a good foundation to just start building your piece and working it up and building it up. So I always start with my little clock pattern here, and then I will come in and start filling in all of the gaps. Alrighty, so I've got my starting point here with my little pine boughs in my clock pattern. And now this gives me a reference point as to where I want to start adding in the branches to just fill this in and make it look really full. So I do come in and kind of fill in, like if this was a clock, I start filling in the rest of the numbers, like the 1, 2, 4, 5, you get me, right? You're following me. So that's what we're going to do now, is just keep filling this in. And I do want to make the base of this really, really full. And of course, I'm working with a very small disc here, so this isn't going to be huge, because the vase that I'm going to top this on top of it's got a really small opening. And stay with me. I know I keep saying that, but really do stay with me, y'all, because I think in the end you're going to go, oh, I see what she's doing now. It's going to be one of those, oh, aha, I got it moments, I promise. Okay, so I've sort of got everything filled in a little bit, and now we're going to go ahead and start building this up and giving it some dimension and giving it some depth. So I do take a few of these just tiny little sprigs, because you can still see a little bit of the wood, and I don't want to see any of that wood when this is all said and done. So I'm just taking some teeny tiny pieces and gluing them on to those places where I can see the wood, so that again, I cover that completely up because I don't want to see it. All right, so I've got this pretty well filled in now for the foundation for our base, and it's looking a lot like a snowflake. I think it looks kind of cool, and if I was not creating a vase topper out of this, I probably would have stopped right here and just used this as a cute little tree ornament or something, because it looks kind of cool. However, that's not what we're making here, so we're going to just move on and start building this in. So now I'm going to come in with some of these bigger bushier pine branches. These picks, I do believe I got them on Amazon, and I will do my best to have all of the supplies from this project linked in the description box under our supply list. But these are bigger. They're a bigger, fuller branch than what we created that base with. And this will be a perfect place to start building this up and giving it a lot of dimension and just kind of lifting it up so that it doesn't look so flat on our, foundation. So again, I'm gluing these all on, and I'm doing this in my same little clock pattern. But here is where I tend to start working everything in odd numbers. I do like to work in odd numbers. I like to, do everything in 3s and 5s and 7s, because I feel like by doing that, you're adding a lot of visual appeal to the overall end result. So I have come in and created this all the way around in like a semicircle, but I did use an odd number here. I believe I actually ended up using 7 of them. And I do kind of keep fiddling with this to make sure that I'm not gluing any of my fishing line to the bottom of this where I don't want it glued. And then I think my plan for this is to add a pine cone to the center, but I feel like we need to add a little bit more texture into this. So I'm going to come in with these cute little picks, and I found these ones at Hobby Lobby, y'all, years ago. I've had these for quite some time, but I do think Hobby Lobby might still have them. They're just these darling little pick branches that have kind of just, I don't know, they're very whimsical, and they have little pine cones on the end. So I felt like I wanted to go ahead and come in and tuck some of those in around the perimeter. And again, I'm going to do all of this in an odd number. So I'm only going to add 5 of these to this piece. I feel like this is looking really, really good. However, it needs a little contrast. We need to come in with some kind of greenery that is not of the pine bough variety. So I have these really beautiful leaves. They kind of remind me of bay leaves a little bit, actually, and I'm not sure where I got these, y'all. I've had these big bundles for years. So I'll try to find them, and if I can, I'll have them linked in our supply list. But I did feel like they added a really pretty contrast to all of our pine boughs. So I just went around the base of that and just kind of added some in here and there. But again, I do try to adhere to my odd number rule. So I'll just add a few of these in here and there, paying attention to keep things at an odd grouping so that everything continues to maintain that aspect ratio and look proportional. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So here's what we have so far. I'm really, really liking this. I do think adding in a little bit of these really pretty leaves and just giving some contrast made a big difference. And plus they were a slightly different green color. So again, that just adds some visual appeal. So to the very center of this, I'm just simply going to add a cute little pine cone in here. I hot glued this in just using my hot glue gun, made sure it was really well adhered. And then I started playing around, just playing here. I was playing with some berries, kind of trying to decide if I even wanted to add the berries to this. And I wasn't sure at this point, but I do keep playing and kind of placing things in. This is a good rule to follow. If you're not sure of where you want to go with your design from this point, just place things in without glue, obviously, and just see what they look like. So I opted out of the berries for now because I felt like we needed to just make this look a little bit fuller. So I just come in with some of these teeny tiny little branches. I picked them all apart and just added little tiny ones in here and there to just kind of make this look a little bit fuller. I am not sure why, but for some reason I was determined that we were going to have some berries in this greenery arrangement. So here I came back to the berries and decided to just make a cute little grouping of 3 in front of my pine cone. And this kind of creates a front part of our arrangement here, because you know how every arrangement kind of has a front and a back. So I think by adding the berries here, it just definitely gave me a defined front to this. And I kind of like them. I kind of like them. It's looking pretty good. And at this point, I was kind of telling myself, I think you need to stop. I think you need to just stop, because if you just keep going, you're going to end up with kind of a mess. And you always reach that point in any project where you have to tell yourself to just stop. Because Michael tells me this all the time, better is the enemy of done. And so I decided, okay, this is looking really good. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to adding our ornaments to this. So I did measure my vessel, and I measured my vessel from the bottom to the top so that I could kind of determine the lengths that I wanted all of my ornaments to dangle, because obviously we want them to dangle at different lengths. Now, this was a really good idea in theory. It didn't work that way. Measuring really didn't do me a whole lot of good. What I ended up doing was just cutting all of my fishing line to varying lengths and then tied them to my ornaments, making sure that I put really, really good hefty knots in these, because the ornaments that I am using are really heavy. These are actually glass ornaments, and they were pretty heavy. So I did want to make sure I tied a really good strong knot into them. And then I cut away some of that excess line, that excess fishing line that you see that I had from the knot. And then I just gave up on the whole ruler and the measurement and started doing everything by eye and creating the variety of different lengths here. Now, I think this is kind of an important step. You do want your baubles or your ornaments to hang at different lengths. So this is where you can kind of just play and experiment and just lay everything out and get a feel for what you're doing. So again, I just repeat that entire process by tying all of my ornaments in at a variety of different lengths, making sure that my knots are really well tied very tightly and a good strong knot so that these ornaments don't fall off the fishing line and end up broken, because we definitely don't want that. Always a point in every single project and design that I create where I start second guessing myself. And right about now, I might have said a few choice words and was telling myself, this isn't looking good. This isn't working very well. I don't know about this. Maybe I'll scrap the whole thing. But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because in the end, it does turn out really, really cool. The only thing I might have done different was create a little bit bigger of a topper for the top part of our vase. And you'll probably agree with me once you see the end result, the final look here. But we're almost to the point now where I've got all the bubbles tied on, and I can go ahead and try to fit it into the vase and see what it's looking like. So here is my vessel. This is the vessel that inspired this whole entire project. So I just came in and gently, one at a time, inserted the little bubbles, and then my topper, because I measured it perfectly, sat beautifully on top, and this is what it looks like.
So what do y'all think of our vase topper? I really think it turned out very cool. I think it's fun, and I think it's a great way to just spruce up a vase or of any kind of vessel that you might have laying around and you weren't sure what to do with it. This is a great idea. It's a great way to utilize it. Utilize some of those fun ornaments that you love to showcase and want to see them more prominently than just being hidden on a tree somewhere. So I think it turned out great. I think it was a really fun idea. Y'all are gonna have to let me know your thoughts on this project. I'm really curious to know what y'all think of it and if it's something that you're going to try. my dear friends. Well, I think that is pretty much going to wrap up our 2024 Christmas series. We have done so many amazing DIY projects together over the last several weeks, and y'all, it's been so much fun for me. I cannot even begin to tell you what it means to me that y'all have been spending all this time with me over this Christmas season. I've loved every single minute of it. I've loved your company. I've loved engaging in conversation with all of you through the comments. It has just meant so much to me. This has been probably my favorite Christmas season since I've started my channel. Y'all are absolutely amazing. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all your love, for all your support, and for your continued presence here with me. Y'all mean the world to me, and I just love you all to pieces. All right, friends. Well, that's it for all of our amazing creative DIY projects. However, next week, I have something very, very special to share with y'all. So come back, see me again next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye. It's for so good to see all of you. What is in my mouth? I think I got a hair.